No one is beating Khamzat Chimaev in the middleweight division for the next 5 years. Khamzat Chimaev has put a beating on Dricus Du Plessis, one of the most one-sided title fights I have seen in UFC history. What is up, boys? We are back, and today we're going to be talking about UFC 319's main event, along with going over some potential matchups for Khamzat Chimaev in the future. Before we get into the good and gritty stuff, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're at like 940 subscribers right now. It takes 1 second. It would mean a lot. I've kind of lost my voice because of how much I was screaming last night from the banger card that UFC 319 was. But in today's video, we're only going to be talking about the main event. So let's talk about it. Obviously, I'm sure you guys saw the beating that was last night. Khamzat Chimaev went in there. He ragdolled Dricus Du Plessis for 5 rounds. He 44'd Dricus Du Plessis. And the narrative that I'm seeing going along with this fight is that, bro, this was a boring fight. This is a horrible ending to the night. And I gotta disagree. Was this not entertaining? Seeing Dricus Du Plessis, someone who defended the middleweight belt twice, someone who beat Robert Whittaker, someone who beat Israel Adesanya, someone who beat Sean Strickland twice, go in there and get absolutely dominated by the specimen that Khamzat Chimaev is. My jaw was on the floor for all 25 minutes last night because it was amusing. I had never seen something like this. I had never seen a beatdown like this where a title challenger just completely goes in there and humiliates the champion. You know, I'd say that the closest we've got to this is Kamaru Usman versus Tyron Woodley, but even this was on another level, brother. This was completely different. And Khamzat Chimaev, take a bow. A lot of people are also saying that Khamzat Chimaev is another Merab. He's another Bilal. He is one of the wrestlers who is going to kill the sport, and that is one of the stupidest things that I've ever heard. That statement right there makes my blood boil, because just last week everyone was calling Khamzat Chimaev the most entertaining fighter in the UFC. If anything, you should be mad at Dricus Du Plessis for not giving him a good fight. Dricus Du Plessis is the one who was curled up into a ball the entire fight trying to protect his neck. Dricus Du Plessis was on his back, getting elbowed, getting flatlined. He got put in a crucifix 6 times, and you have the audacity to go out there and blame Khamzat Chimaev for not putting on a bad fight. You have the audacity to do that? That is completely ridiculous. Dricus Du Plessis is a man who did not go out there prepared. Dricus Du Plessis is a man who did not go out there and was not ready for war. So you're a complete idiot if you say that. You're a complete joke if you say that. And please never watch the sport of MMA again, because Khamzat Chimaev is still one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. If you do not find Dricus Du Plessis getting elbowed in his face for 25 minutes straight entertaining, well then find another sport, because this is simply not the one for you. But let's move on. We talked about the main event, and now we're going to be talking about some potential matchups for Khamzat Chimaev heading into 2025, at the end of 25, and heading into 2026, because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of contenders in this middleweight division that there is to talk about, and we'll talk about the first 2 contenders. This fight is probably the number 1 contenders fight. I think we already know this. It's supposed to happen September 6th. I think they officially confirmed it on the broadcast that the winner of Imavov versus Borjalo will be next for the middleweight strap, and I think that's fair. You know, both of these guys are on very lengthy winning streaks. You know, there's definitely other contenders we can give it to, but you know, both of these guys, if they got a win over the other one, they probably deserve the title shot. However, in terms of stylistic matchups, I do not think any of these guys propose even a realistic threat, not even a decent threat against Khamzat Chimaev. I think the other contenders in this division probably propose more of a threat. You look at Borjalo, dude. The narrative around this guy is he has decent jiu-jitsu. He is decent. He can throw up a submission off his back. That's what they say about every Brazilian in the UFC before. But I feel like Borjalo's striking is just kind of like a poor man Dricus' striking, dude. He has iffy striking. He has very predictable striking. In my opinion, it's not the best. And he went to a 5-round war with Jared Cannonier. He went to a decision with Jared Cannonier, and Jared Cannonier was giving him a lot of struggles in that fight. Jared Cannonier is 41, by the way. Jared Cannonier is 41. I mean, Borjalo was one of the biggest prospects in the UFC. Then this guy went to a decision with Cannonier, and we haven't heard of this guy in a year. So, I mean, Imavov, on the other hand, though, Imavov, don't even get me started on Imavov, dude. I get he has that Dagestani aura. Maybe he can wrestle a little bit, but can he? Because he got taken down by Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen, imagine me going out here and comparing Brendan Allen and Khamzat Chimaev's wrestling. That is not even close. They're not even close. If you're getting taken down by Brendan Allen and controlled, well then imagine what Khamzat Chimaev is going to do to you. Nasruddin Imavov, I don't even think he can throw submissions off his back, you know? Borjalo, at least Borjalo could maybe fluke a triangle over Khamzat. Nurmagomedov has no submissions in the UFC. All of his submissions, all 4 of his submissions in his MMA career are before the UFC. He can't throw up submissions off his back. Maybe his offensive grappling is decent, but how is his offensive grappling, how is his offensive wrestling compared to Khamzat Chimaev? It's not there, is it? It's not there, is it? It isn't there. And really, it would just be a completely one-sided fight. I see Khamzat Chimaev getting both of these guys out there in the first round. Khamzat Chimaev submits both of these guys in the first round, and he will probably destroy them. He could probably beat both of these guys on the same night, if I'm being honest with you. Moving on, though, the next possible matchup, the next possible contender I have is going to be the one, the only Reinier de Ridder, Dricus Du Plessis 2.0. Dricus Du Plessis 2.0, we probably should stop calling him that if we actually think he's a decent threat to Khamzat, because if this man actually is a Dricus Du Plessis 2.0, well, then imagine what Khamzat Chimaev would do to him if he did that to the real Dricus. Khamzat Chimaev went out there and dominated the real Dricus. So imagine what he would do to the Dricus 2.0, man. This is kind of scary here. But I'm going to be saying a lot of the same stuff I said for Dricus Du Plessis, but I feel like, at least with RDR, he can throw up submissions off his back. He's one of them, he's a world-class jiu-jitsu artist. We've seen his work in one championship. We've seen his work in the UFC submitting guys like Kevin Holland. We've seen he has the possibility of being just awkward. He can throw a fluke overhand and knock you out, and that's what we were saying about Dricus. But he has the ground game. He can throw up a random submission. He can throw up a random armbar. He can throw up a random freaking Kimura lock. Who knows with RDR? His jiu-jitsu is that good, and also this man's scrambles. That is something in this fight. His scrambles are actually really good. He knows he's a lot more experienced on the ground than Dricus Du Plessis. His striking may not be there, but Khamzat Chimaev is not going to strike with anybody. He's just going to try to shoot a takedown right away, and if he's dumb, this Khamzat Chimaev might end up in a guillotine. Khamzat Chimaev might end up getting caught, and RDR, stylistically, he could be a problem. He could be a very big problem. But with that being said, Khamzat Chimaev wins this fight via 50-45 decision. I said a lot of ifs. I said a lot of maybes. I said a lot of if this happens, if that happens. Well, that is a big if, because I still see Khamzat Chimaev running through Reinier de Ridder. It is impossible to beat Khamzat Chimaev at this current state, brother. You're gonna have to cut a couple limbs off Khamzat Chimaev to even make it a close fight. RDR, you could propose a potential threat. You could, but I don't believe you will. I still think Khamzat Chimaev is going to go in there and he's going to 50-45 you. Then let's get into another contender who I want to talk about. And this contender is actually someone who I believe could put up a decent threat. I talked about it a couple videos ago. Fluffy Hernandez. Fluffy Hernandez, call it bias because I am Mexican, but I do believe that Fluffy Hernandez proposes a genuine threat for Khamzat Chimaev, and he is the only one in the middleweight division who I could see Khamzat Chimaev not completely dominating. Don't get me wrong, I still probably believe that Khamzat Chimaev would go in there and absolutely ragdoll Anthony Hernandez for the most part. I could see Khamzat Chimaev winning a 49-46, a 48-47 decision, but at least Anthony Hernandez took a round off him, right? All these other guys, I'm saying Khamzat Chimaev's not even going to take a round off of. If he 50-44 Dricus Du Plessis, arguably 50-43, then there was probably 2 10-8 rounds in that fight. Well, then, you think I'm really going to pick Borhalo and Amavov and freaking RDR to give him a tough matchup? You know who I am going to pick to give him a tough matchup? Someone who has actually shown it in the wrestling department. Someone who has some of the best cardio in the UFC. And, in my opinion, the second best cardio in the UFC. A couple videos ago, I said that Anthony Hernandez could give Khamzat Chimaev a very tough matchup, and this was after his fight against Roman Dolidze. I was saying that because we hadn't seen Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus Du Plessis. I was saying that Anthony Hernandez could potentially beat Khamzat Chimaev. I do not think that way anymore. After seeing what Khamzat Chimaev did to Dricus, I don't agree with that at all. I don't think Anthony Hernandez can beat Khamzat Chimaev. He would have to be absolutely perfect for 5 rounds, and I don't think that's likely. However, I do think maybe in the future he could, but as of right now, he can't. Anthony Hernandez, as of right now, I could see taking a round, maybe 2 rounds off Khamzat Chimaev because of his ability in the wrestling. He has some of the best wrestling in the middleweight division. He has really dominant wrestling. He has great cardio. And the thing about cardio, here's something I want to touch on. Khamzat Chimaev's cardio. A lot of people are saying Khamzat Chimaev's cardio, it's good, it's back, it was never bad. Okay, buddy, that's a complete lie. Khamzat Chimaev has good cardio. I've said that before in my videos. He has good cardio, but it is the way he paces himself. It is the way he fights in that first round that makes him have such bad cardio. And Khamzat Chimaev also had 0 adversity in that Dricus Du Plessis fight. You really think that if Khamzat Chimaev goes to war with Dricus Du Plessis, his cardio is still going to be good? Of course not. If Dricus Du Plessis even put up a little bit of a fight, Khamzat Chimaev's cardio wouldn't have been that good. I'm not saying Khamzat Chimaev has bad cardio. I still I don't believe he has bad cardio. I also don't believe he has great cardio, but you know, he doesn't have bad cardio. You know, I'll say that. But still, his cardio is something that can be improved, because when he's actually taking those punches, when he's getting overhands, when he's getting held up against the cage, that takes something off him, and he didn't face any of that in this last fight. So I think someone like Anthony Hernandez could potentially hold him against the cage, could potentially smudge him. But Khamzat Chimaev is just physically so strong. You know, Anthony Hernandez has a bit of a pot belly, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. And Khamzat Chimaev just absolutely ragdolls, completely outstrength Dricus Du Plessis with one of the nicest physiques in the UFC. I mean, no diddy. You guys know what I'm saying here. But it just wraps for the rest of the middleweight division, and that is the point of this video. That is the point that I wanted to get across, because Khamzat Chimaev is simply one of the best middleweights of all time. I really do believe that, and I think with 2 good wins in his future, he could genuinely be the proclaimed middleweight GOAT. That's gonna do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know how you guys feel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. MMA Outpost out.